Greetings, my loves. Welcome, welcome. So today's Shakti Temple Talk is about one of my favorite things, and that is temple dance. And I want to bring this forward as I think so many of us in this day and age, we found a really deep connection to the formless through dance. And what I think is so beautiful about dance is that it is a place where, if you saw the previous Shakti Temple Talk, it was all about the reconciliation of sex and spirit. Dance is one of the mediums that our embodiment, our form, can come into deep, deep, deep communion with the eternal, with the formless, with energy and consciousness. So this is what inspired me to talk about temple dance. And what I want to say first off is that sadly, the tradition of actual temple dance has largely died out. Perhaps there are some little gems still. I think maybe even in Nepal there are still some temples that the temple dance is taking place in. But this was something that in cultures all over the world, dance was used as a means of communion with the sacred. In ancient India, there were the temple dancers known as Maharis or the Devadasi that were dancing in the temples there, that the now classical forms of Odissi and Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi, and I think maybe even Kathak came out of these temple dance forms, but they're no longer done in the temples, and now it's technically a classical dance form. So I just want to specify that here to honor my teachers and the lineage. It is a classical dance form, but it has the roots in this temple dance form. Now, temple dances were also taking place in Egypt. They were taking place in ancient Greece. They were taking place all over the world, in many different places, especially in like the Middle East realm. Temple dance was a thing, was a way of expressing spirit, and particularly this was a tradition that was held by women. And I think this was also really important to note, because nowadays most temples everywhere, it's all priests, it's all male priests, and there's this new movement, the Priestess movement I call it, where women are kind of reclaiming this. And I think that sometimes there can be a lot of judgment around that, because sometimes it does go too far. I think it gets disconnected from being really real and a real understanding of what that is. But I also think that there's a level of the feminine saying, hey, we are translators of the divine as well, and we haven't gotten to play this role for a very long time, and it's needed for the balance on the planet. Wow, I had no idea this talk was going to go here, but here it goes. Okay. This is needed on the planet. And back when there were the temple dancers and these ancient traditions all over, this was a time when there were priests and priestesses in the temple. Oh my gosh, what a concept. Balance. The feminine also, she didn't fall from the grace of Eden. It's not her fault. It's not, we don't need to burn her as a witch anymore. My God. And now we're living in a time where it is safe again for us to come forward in this way, and we're learning. And I think that's the thing we all have to find this humility around, is we're learning. What does this even mean anymore? Like, so much has happened in the world. So much continues to happen. We don't have the same structures. There's globalization, so it's like everything's an open book nowadays. And so we are figuring out this balance, but there is a reclamation of these ancient traditions, and particularly these ancient traditions that allowed for the feminine to be vessels of the divine, and to express and translate the divine, and to commune with the divine, and to be servants of the divine. Because what is a priest or priestess? There's someone who is able to be a vessel or a conduit so that the divine can come into the space. Whether it's the space of the body, the space of the temple, the space of the room, nature even. Very easy in nature because it's already there. And this is something that we can do through dance, whether we're a man or a woman. I'm not going to make this gender based. This is something that's accessible to us all. And so there's so many ways that this can look, but dance can be, there's so many different angles we can go through dance. There's like free form dance, ecstatic dance, where we go and it's about feeling the energy in the body and letting ourselves move in ways that feel good and feel authentic and express our unique essence, which is so healing in and of itself, and where we can maybe share that with others. And so that's one way we can use this frequency. For me, dance was the beginning of my spiritual path. I grew up in a place where, the society was so suppressive, so repressed. You didn't want to be weird. You were constantly concerned about what other people thought. Oh, I should be wearing those kind of clothes. And, I remember where I grew up, if you went to shows, nobody was dancing. There might be a couple head bobs here and there or whatnot, but it was like everyone's very self-conscious and like contracted and constricted. And it's like we're here to start to liberate and to start to figure out who we really are on an essential level. And we can't do that if we're all like constricted and contorted and worrying about out here. And the beauty of dance is that we start to find ourselves from the inside out. And this was how my spiritual path began. First of all, with Qigong, which is kind of like a dance. So I started feeling energy. And then, I started like somehow the walls of caring what other people thought started breaking down. There might have been some psychedelic use that was aiding in that process. And I stopped caring what other people thought. And all of a sudden it was like, I'd go to a show and I'd start moving and I found God. For the first time in my life, I very really tangibly found a route to God. Now, not that I didn't have experiences in nature and as a child, but I'd forgotten. I'd become so constricted by public school and social, peer pressure and all of that, social constructs, that I'd lost that. So many of us do. And then dance becomes this way that we kind of find it again. So I found it through freeform dance, and then I got into fire dance, and that was a whole other, because it was just like, now I've got fire, and I'm just like, letting my expression fly. And the element of fire, and I was really in the Shakti phase, and then I became very attracted to belly dance and actually being able to articulate. And when we start to move into more structured dance form, something really magical happens, and the mind-body somatic connection, which is already there with freeform, but then we start to create these pathways and these maps where it's like we're training the body, we're training these new circuits of movement. And with belly dance, it's like we're working on all these different geometries, like an infinity symbol or a circle or even a spiral, and snaky arms. And so we're working on all these different geometries and bringing them into the body. And then as I got into performing, so that was, I moved from fire element, and then the belly dance was kind of more this water element. And as I started performing, starting to find expression coming through the dance and playing with these different archetypal plays and frequencies. And then I got into classical Indian dance, which is very, very structured. It was like my Shakti was refining as I went through this process with the dances. So I went from like free form to wildfire dancer to snaky belly dancer to all of a sudden very classical, very refined dance. And for me, it was like, even as the dance became more codified and kind of constricting, that's not quite the word I want to use, the opposite thing was happening with my spirit. It was expanding, and this level of refinement started to happen in my energy and my body. And so there's not one way or one path that's better than the other, but there are different things that get activated in these different dance forms. And there's so many forms of dance available to us now. And again, the dance becomes like a bridge, no matter what type of dance it is, no matter what tradition it comes from. Humans have all over the world found dance to be a way of calling spirit into the material physical realm, into our bodies. Tribal peoples dancing around a fire, it can be a ritual of invoking. We create all this energy and we're invoking particular energies or deities into this space. Dance is phenomenal. It's phenomenal for expression, for finding our unique essence, for connecting with spirit, for connecting with archetypal frequencies, for praying, for bringing the divine earth side. And here I am in California, and I kind of grew up as a young adult in the West Coast festival culture here, and dance was our way of communion, and it kind of birthed this whole movement that's now covered the entire world, and now we're seeking these even deeper threads. So dance is just, for me, it is like the cherry on top. I love yoga, I love meditation, I love these things. I think they're all valuable and they all work together very, very well. And I think dance is a very important part of our spiritual practice and our evolution. And so I call it temple dance because that's what it is. We're bringing the temple. I like to think it's like, yes, we can go to a temple. A temple is a temple. There is an actual thing called a temple. What's important about that temple is that as particular sacred energy is curated and held by those walls, and we can go there and be immersed in that frequency. But ideally, we're starting to bring that frequency out. And how can we make any space like that? How can we make our very bodies like that temple space? Because our body, if we go in on an energetic level, it's just full of space. And so dance can be a way that we fill that space with the sacred, that we consecrate this temple that is the body. So I guess that's what wanted to come through with temple dance. I wasn't sure where I was going to go with this. That was fun. So that's where it went. I hope it was inspiring for you. I am so excited to continue dancing in this lifetime and getting to share that with others, and to just remember that beautiful and powerful thread that dance is, whether we are an audience watching someone perform dance and the way that that can move us and bring different emotions through, or whether we are the dancer itself being witness. They say dance like no one is watching, but what if we dance like God is watching, and we recognize that the divine is watching through whoever's eyes are landing upon us? It brings a real sweetness to our life. And then what if that can just become our life? Like even when we're making food, even when we are tending children, even when, we're driving a car, it's like, how can it all start to be the dance and infused with spirit and awareness and beauty? So, yes. Thank you for tuning in with me today and exploring temple dance. And I hope to do it with you sometime in the flesh and in these bodies.